Hello, everyone. Welcome to our PMP exam lessons learned today. Today, we have our PMP boss, Delita, who is going to be taking us through how she was able to conquer this beast known as a PMP. So, Delita, thank you so much for coming. Congrats to you. Thank you for jumping on the call that we had yesterday, kind of like a preliminary call, if you will. And I'm really excited that this has come full circle. We've been working on this for a while. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell us why you wanted to get this thing done in the first place?
Okay. Hi, everybody. So I'm sorry, I'm in the car. It's been a busy Saturday, but I wanted to get my PMP because I was in a project management position for 3 years. And it's funny because when I first was in that position, I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with people or projects ever again. And so, but I knew that I wanted to start my own LLC business, consulting services. And so I went to see a mentor, and he recommended that a PMP would be good for me to have under my belt. So that was in 2018. And I actually had started with a new company in 2018, and they actually offered to pay for the PMP class. And so I was like, this is perfect timing. I'm going to take advantage. And so that's where I met our buddy, Phil. And I've been tagging along since then, 2018, and it's now 2021. So I'm just excited to say I'm PMP certified now.
Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, Delita. So now we understand why you thought of doing this. Did you eventually get the LLC rolling?
I'm working on that now.
Lovely.
Trying to get everything together. So yes, that's in the works.
Lovely stuff. So you came aboard the course, we had sessions, but life gets in the way and work gets busy and things come into focus. So for those who say, oh, 2018, yeah, the PMP Guide 6th edition came out 2018. So when Delita jumped on the program, the PMP Guide 6th edition had just been out for about 9 months or so, and it's still the same one. So it's really convenient that now she's hunkering down. It's still the same PMP Guide 6th edition. Thank goodness it hasn't changed. So let's talk about how you studied, and it was a journey, but give us an overview.
So I probably took, I don't know, 6 or 7 prep classes with you.
Dear.
I just felt like I was never ready. But I just kept going after it. I didn't want to give up.
You did.
So I definitely took advantage of a lot of your prep courses. Definitely invested in all of your resources. The PMP Guide, of course, the Praizion Essentials book, the audios, I took advantage of all of that. Even the YouTube, trying to get on all the lessons learned. It was plenty of information, information overload almost, because I couldn't get to everything that I wanted to get to. And I think that was for me, I felt like that's why I'm never ready, because I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. And then as I would do lesson learn, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have did that, studied that way, or, and it just became a cycle. And I was like, you have to draw the line, girl. Like, you have to just go for it. And so that's what I did.
And you got some shout outs here from our friends, from Kylie, Caroline, Tamika, and May, and congrats to them too.
And yes, I'm so thankful for that study group, because I think I was on a lessons learned for, I can't remember who it was, and you suggested the group, and I reached out to I think Tamika and May, and they've been really, really helpful. Like, everybody's so supportive, and that's one of the things that really pushed me too, because it was like having other people holding me accountable, and then seeing all of the PMP certifications being passed. I'm like, oh, I gotta go for it. Y'all not gonna leave me behind.
That's the spirit. I'm really grateful for all of them and coming out to support you today. It just shows you that it's a community of friends trying to help each other across the finish line. And that's what training, no matter how good it is, there's a limit to how far it can take you. But having a study buddy, having a study group, it just gives you that good peer. You want to call it peer pressure in a good way, whatever it
Yeah.
is, you can call it that. Yeah. So, Delita, I'm really curious to know how it all came together. Was there like a defining moment when you're like, all right, I got integration, I got scope, I got schedule, did it all come together in pieces or did it just come, boom, I've got it, now I know it, the whole picture. When did it come together?
Um, I think honestly, it was already there, but the realization moment was when Tamika reached out and was like, Delita, do you want to lead a lesson? Do you want to lead one of the chapters? And I was like, well, I mean, what do I have to do? Because I just felt like they were on their stuff in that group, and I just didn't feel like I was there, you know? And so I'm like, I don't know. I'm used to following along, listening to them talk, but she asked me to do the resource chapter. And that was like a chapter I heavily focused on because I knew people was one of the focus areas, right? So when I realized I was able to basically teach that chapter to the rest of the study group, like I was like, oh, I got this in the bag. Like I did research. I went through all of the resource videos you guys had on the LMS. I went and read back through that entire chapter where, you know, I actually read the page for page.
Wow.
And then I felt like I was a teacher coming up with a lesson curriculum for the study group.
Yeah.
So, and that really, really helped, you know, capture what my gaps were, and just to be able to, you know, regurgitate it back to somebody else was like the moment where I knew, okay, you got this. So just go ahead forward with it.
Right. Absolutely. So let's move ahead to talk about what you did when you finally did that, and then you continued moving along with that momentum. And how many months in advance or weeks in advance did you decide this is the day I'm going to take the exam? Was it?
That's funny because I probably moved my exam, I know 3 or 4 times. Like every time I would set a date, I would move it because I would listen to a lesson learned, or I felt like I didn't study enough hours, or, you know, you may pop on a YouTube and say, you know this, and I'm like, nope, let me get back to the drawing board. And I was actually in other study groups too. And so I just felt like I had accountability like all over. So I just was like, I have to do it. I have to go for it. 2018, I mean, it might not seem like a long time, but that's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. It is a long time. Yeah.
I just felt like my life, I couldn't move on. Like I was just stagnant in this space. And I'm like, I have other things to be doing with my life.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad you stayed on it, because a lot of folks from that class, life just came at everyone, and before you knew it, there was COVID and people were just totally thrown off. But I really appreciate your tenacity. You stayed on it. You are the primary reason why you did this. Not because you can't attribute this to a cause or it was you. You fought for your PMP, and you better use it to the max because you fought for this thing. You really did.
And I will say I took the exam for the first time in December. And I felt really pressured because I was trying to reach, you know, before they changed the test outline exam. And but after I took it and I didn't pass, I wasn't even sad. I was actually happy.
That's good.
Because I was like, okay, now I can just start over, like with my studies, and get back to the drawing board. So I took a break, Christmas and New Year's, and I think you offered another class in January, Roy. And I was just like, all right, time to get back on it. And I mean, it was like Agile just came to me instantly. It just made more sense conceptually. And I worked on a project that actually used Agile. So I wasn't totally, you know, in the dark with it, but that was helpful too. I think the timing for me was perfect. Like it was when it happened when it was supposed to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And last year was pretty tough for you. And I know that what prompted you was this whole, PMP exam is changing. And nobody really knew what was going to happen. We thought PMI was going to become more draconian and worse. you know, so we didn't really know. And then you realize, oh, it's just a tiny little, you know, tiny little pet that's just waiting to welcome you. It's not like
Yeah.
like a dragon like it was in 2020. So
Yeah.
I think it was the perfect time. And look, now all the agile stuff that you learned, that's just icing on the cake. So it was definitely perfect. So Delita, tell me, how are you like doing your studying? Were you studying a knowledge area a day, or it's always been a mystery to me because I know that it seemed so overwhelmingly much, but it sounds like what really helped you was the cadence of what the group was doing every week, and it made you have to keep along for some of the distance. But there's got to be more to it because there's so many moving parts to the exam. And I know when you joined the group, so you must have
Yeah.
been doing something else. Can you tell us?
So I did start by doing the knowledge areas. I knew integration was a big one because that's where majority of the processes came into play. So I definitely made sure I honed in on integration. And then I just started focus after December, and I knew agile was going to be the new thing. I
Mhm.
started focusing on the areas that dealt with people first,
Mm,
because I knew that was a really, really big part. And so, like I said, I hone in on resources and stakeholders, and then communications, because I know that that was big.
mm,
Anything that dealt with people,
gotcha. Mhm.
I focused mainly on that. And then I really didn't do a lot of studying on scheduling costs. Those
Mm,
weren't my favorite. But
mhm.
after I knew Agile, or a lot of people were saying that was going to be a majority of their tests, I just threw the formulas in the back of my brain. Like anything, and I know that probably wasn't the right thing to do, but in my head, I wanted to master Agile, anything to do with
Mm,
leadership and anything to do with people. And I tried to weigh out, what was going to be weighed the most
right.
and where the impact would be the most. And I felt like if I did above target in those areas, then I would be okay. So that was my mindset.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah. Hmm.
Makes sense because like yeah, I remember. And truth be told, I mean, Delita did a lot of additional stuff. So yes, 2018 she was in the class, but as she told you, she was always every step of the way. And in fact, one of the folks who was on the last, some of the folks here were on that last training that you did with us, which was a boot camp. It was a 2 day, 3 day. Was it 3 day?
Hmm.
3 day. It was a
Yes,
3 day
3 days.
immersion. And the very next day, one of the students from the course got certified because she took it. Remember that?
Yep, yep.
And yeah, we just went from strength to strength. And then we had one more session. And I'm like, yeah, Delita's ready. She needs to do this. She needs to ace it. So you ended up understanding Agile really well, right? You did the
Hmm.
Scrum, went through all the videos, and you had been in a number of classes with Roy as well when he did the Agile in January.
Yes.
So for anyone looking and saying, oh, so she didn't do anything in between. No, she did a boatload of stuff. She did many, of those courses. And then she got on the learning management system where she had the full gamut of all the videos, the quizzes, everything, not just those tiny little boot camps, but everything. And she obviously utilized it to the max. So some of the questions that we get, Delita, are, well, did you read the PMBOK guide eventually?
I like how you throw eventually on there, because I could not make myself read that book, but I did. I didn't read it all in one sitting.
Wow.
Once I realized the areas I needed to focus on, I went to those specific chapters and I really read those chapters. But
Mm,
I did end up reading the entire book. It just
wow.
wasn't start to finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that's a lot to take in, and I will say, I even when I joined other study groups, they will offer other resources, which
Mm,
I don't recommend. But in that moment, I'm trying to stay with this study group. I'm trying to be on this
mm,
study group, and that's really, really hard, because I remember posting in the Facebook group a year or so back a question from
mm.
another book that wasn't Praizion, and it was like, well, where this come from? And then I just felt so attacked because it
Oh,
wasn't a question we were used to seeing
yeah.
from you. And
Yeah.
so, you have to stay on the same learning path. It's
True.
so much content out there that
Yeah.
Praizion provides. Like, you don't need to go anywhere else. And so what I was saying about that other book that I had, it broke it down in like layman terms for me that the PMBOK didn't. But I didn't have time to go through that book. Had I had that in the beginning to refer to in addition, I think it would have been more helpful. But I was just like, I'm just gonna read the PMBOK guide because this is the Bible here. Like,
Yeah.
this is what they're gonna go by. This other stuff, like, you know, that I'm reading is just it's not gonna help me. It's just gonna be extra resources and time spent on something that may or may not help me in the end.
Yeah.
If
Good
that makes sense.
choice. I mean, there's there's so much content, and to be honest, in my library I have books that friends of mine have written. They're dependable folks, but I can't throw everything into the mix. I'll be confusing people. And then you have so much, and then you had, what do you call it, you had the audio digest. Did you ever listen to the audio digest, Delita?
I sure did, and it was hard because when I ride and drive, I like to listen to my music. But I was like, you got to get your mind right. So when you riding down the road, just put the audio on, and then just listen to that. I tried to listen to it sometimes going to bed, but that wasn't really successful with that. But I definitely listened to it in the car. If I was at work working on a task or something, I would have it playing. I would put the YouTube videos on in the TV on the TV because I work from home now. So any time that extra time I had to get that extra info in, just playing in the background was helpful. Even if I couldn't always like really hone in and take notes on the certain things, just hearing the information.
Just hearing it,
really
that's
helpful.
the whole idea. Yeah. Osmosis. Yeah. Osmotic communications. So what was your biggest, if you wanted to say your biggest reason for success, what would you attribute it to? The biggest reason why you were able to succeed and get it done?
Y'all don't know me, but I'm very emotional. So I'm trying not to get emotional, but I would definitely say you, Phil, because you were always so supportive. And even when I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, or listening to other people, like, I think sometimes when a person is in a project management position without the certification, it's not that they look down on us, but it's like, oh, well, I'm already here, so I don't need that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's fine. Or people try to discourage you and be negative. But I mean, Praizion, you was definitely the motivation for me and in the study groups, because just seeing other people go through, we're all on the journey together, going through the same experiences, and we all have the same goal in mind, and that's to be certified. And so it's no ulterior motives. Everybody's supporting and encouraging everybody for that same goal. And I mean, I definitely have to say thank you to you and the study groups. And you even put those together. So
thank you. Well, everyone said I want a study group. So I know the students led the request and the charge, and then I believe Tamika, Michelle, and others, and May. I think there's some pioneers.
yes.
I call them the pioneers. They know who they are, but they kind of pioneered it, and it worked in that what we see as the cycle time typically, it was greatly reduced with the peer pressure, like you said, everyone rallying around each other. It just is priceless. And now look, on the call we have going in alphabetical order. Carolyn is now PMP. May is a PMP. Tamika is a PMP, and they're here again to support you. They're already certified, but they're here to just offer support. So I want them to just, for a quick moment, if you can just unmute and let's hear your voices, and anyone else wants to congratulate our PMP guru.
Hi, Delita. Congratulations. Woohoo!
Thank you.
I love it. I'm so excited. We did it.
Thank you. I didn't even think I would still be emotional because I mean, I got my PMP in May, but I'm just like, it's just an overwhelming feeling of like I actually succeeded and I didn't give up, because I mean, this was a long journey.
I feel you. And our learning administrator, she wanted to join. She said, oh, Delita got certified. Oh, I want to come and wish her congrats. But she's in the UK and the time zone difference. She probably couldn't join. but yeah, because we know what you went through. We know. Yeah. So
Congrats, Delita. You deserve it so much. And
Thank
you know, the key
you.
to success is that you did it the month of May. That was my month.
Oh, May. May, you're
Thank
funny.
you.
May, is your birthday in May? That's a funny.
Actually, my birthday is the 1st of May. However, back home, they just registered it 1st of June. And I said, okay, so I'm gonna do mine on June 1st, you know, the day of my birthday. And
Aw.
it should be okay. So I took my chances, and you know, I was well prepared too. And yeah, I passed it.
Aw.
So congratulations,
Congrats.
Delita. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for the support, folks. It means a lot, and jumping in the group and giving the rallying round to those folks who are taking it and congratulating them. It tells you what the group is made of. There's some folks who would have wanted to be here, but they may not have been on the invite because they're PMPs, and I'm like, I don't want to bother you and give you spam. So as the moment you're done with your lessons learned, I don't want to keep inundating you with emails, and that's why some of them are not here. But everyone is really ecstatic when one of us aces the exam in the group. So Delita, so looking back, should I delay my exam is a question people ask. Do you think it was a good choice that you made to delay it?
I don't think it was a good choice to delay it as long as I did. I mean, 2018, but I like I said earlier, I think the timing was perfect for me because I had an opportunity to take it with the new exam, which I think everybody was dreading that initially.
Yeah.
But you see so much success with this new exam, and I mean, that has to be inspiring and inspiration. Just to like, I mean, every time I would turn around in the group, PMP certified, I'm like, oh, we got this. Like, and so I wouldn't say delay it as long as I did, but I think you're never gonna feel 100% ready. Like I think you said, you just got to jump off the ledge. You just have to go for it, because then you're going to hear another lesson learned, and somebody's going to tell you something they had on their exam that somebody before that said it wasn't. And then your mind starts to wonder again, like, okay, well, let me go back to the drawing board. No, you have to just be positive and feel confident in you and that you're going to go do it. Like, you're going to get it done. Everybody's experience is going to be different, and a lot of people's tests are going to be different. So you can't base your studying off of what I had on my exam or what Tamika had on her exam, really, because we may or may not have the same thing. And then you may focus on this thing, and it's too much information. You're just not going to know everything. But if you address the foundational things and focus on the things that Phil and Roy says, like, I try to stick with that. Anybody say anything outside of that, I'm like, put my earphones on.
Oh dear. That was the spirit. I knew you were gonna do it. It was just a matter of when is she gonna pull the trigger, because I was very confident, not only in your experience, but you were very inquisitive and you asked the right questions. And I could tell you were following the logic. And if the logic didn't add up, you would ask the question, whether it was an agile class or a predictive class. I'm like, she's gonna get it. She's gonna get it. So I wasn't bothered. And the time you took it, I was just waiting for the news, just like, okay, let's just have the confirmation because she's already done it. So
and you were the first person I reached out to when I passed.
Aw.
I was like, and you and like, I know 2 minutes later you had made the post on LinkedIn and Facebook. So I think you were like already just
I had already written the congrats message. I'd already created the congratulatory image that I stuck up there. And yeah, because there's no way it could only be that. It could only be that. And 2018, and of course, one of our favorite clients, the company you were in at the time, LMI, our favorite clients, and that background, that history, it only the more wanted me to see more and more success. And then we had someone else from the class who we talked about yesterday, Bruce, who got certified. And then we had the lieutenant colonel who got certified a couple of years. I mean, I think it was a year after we started the course, or maybe 9 months. So I was waiting for more and more. Some folks dropped off. We still have one or two in the group, and hopefully, they too, through watching this video, they're going to be inspired to do it. So I want our friends who are here. We have some friends who just joined not too long. We have Chandra and Francis who joined not too long. So welcome, folks. And if you have any questions for our PMP guru, you see that she's in the car about to go and have a good Saturday. So we don't want to keep her from going to the beach or wherever she's going. Why don't you ask the question that you have for her, if you got any questions? Questions, concerns? Did we hit it? Is it a home run already? That was quick. All right, let me ask a few final
I
questions.
will say your Facebook groups were very helpful, holding me accountable too. The Facebook group you had, and you would post, random questions. And sometimes I might have fell off my studying, and I see you make a post. I'm like, let me get back on. Especially if I didn't know the answer. I'm like, okay.
Dear. That is good to know, Delita. Delita, one of the concepts that was very paramount as you went through this, both in class and otherwise, was that I remember the ITTOs, and they're a lot. So how did you finally get around the ITTOs, and what would you advise our friends on the call who are still working on this about ITTOs?
So I know that there was a spreadsheet you provided, and I got that back in December when I first started the course, but I still would refer to it even now. And that just helped me to see it all in one sitting. Like I could just see one big picture. That was helpful. Like if I was focusing on integration, then I could just like filter that. There's appendix in the back of the PMP guide. I think it's page 686. Don't quote me, but that's
You're
where,
right. You're right.
Okay. I knew you would correct me if I was wrong. But they list out the tools and techniques, by the type: data analysis, data gathering, and they break it down, and they even map it to the chapters that it goes to.
Right.
And then I made index cards, and I wrote out each knowledge area, and I wrote, I focused on the unique outputs. And then it kind of became a memory game, and trying to see what the commonalities were within chapters, like, who uses expert judgment, how many times that's used. And then because there's so many of them, it's going to be kind of hard for you to try to know every single one. Right. And so it kind of became a memory game. Like that's why I made the note cards, and I would just study them. And the data flows were helpful.
Okay.
When you would go through the data flows at the beginning of each chapter. Yeah. And I would highlight what you said the unique outputs were, and just go through, just study that way. And I felt like if I knew that if something was an input to the previous process, output to the previous process, it would be an input to the next one. So I tried to remember that. And yeah, that's kind of what I did. Because I felt like on the test, if I had a question where they gave me the output, then I could eliminate if they were asking about an output, but they listed an input, or vice versa. Gotcha. At least if I knew that this was the output, I know that it can't be the answer to this question if they're asking about an input. So I try to think about it that way. Good.
So your recommendation overall is don't ignore them, know them, because it's going to help you. On page 686 to 694, I really like the idea about note cards, taking a look at data flows, and some of those data flows we have similar in the PMP guide, not as clear as the ones I do, but you can find some of my videos on YouTube regarding data flows. And then just remember, outputs become inputs. That's big. So in what you've said, you've addressed the ITTOs in that outputs become inputs. That's for the I and the O's, and the TTs are the 686 to 694, the tools and techniques, and looking for commonalities. So that's a big one that people normally ask about. All right. And then you've already talked about tackling knowledge areas, how you address anything people, communications, resources, and stakeholder. So that was a very good tip. And then last but not least, we have the actual exam. So let's talk about the exam, reflections and advice. So Delita, did you take it at home or did you take it at a test center?
Actually went to the library and rented out a study room.
Wow.
And I was grateful that they let me get it for 4 hours.
How ingenious.
Because you have a max time, you got to share space.
Yeah.
But they let me sign it out, so I was happy. But I will say I got a little nervous when I had to register, check in for the exam with the pictures, because it was a guy looking at books on the shelf, and I'm trying to get a picture. I'm like, "Oh, sir, can you please move to the side just for a second?" Because I didn't want them to get any idea who's that? Is he helping you? And so I tried to just.
Was it a room? Was it like a cordoned off room?
Yeah, it was a room, a whole room, door locked, but it had a glass. So when it wanted the left side of the room, you could see the bookshelves. And I didn't want them to think, somebody was trying to help or, anything like that. Okay. And I had snacks and stuff, but I tried to hide them in the corner. Not hide them, but I just didn't want them to think I was trying to grab at anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's ingenious. That's ingenious to get the library and the connection and everything. I'm guessing you tested it out before the day.
Because I actually went and studied the last 2 days before my exam. I liked the library, but I felt like I could focus, because when I took the exam the first time in December, not only did I have tested for COVID, so I was going through the COVID experience. I was at home, and my office was cluttered because my mom uses that for storage too, and it just wasn't a good mind space.
Yeah.
And so I went to the library to study the last 2 or 3 days before my exam. So I tested everything out.
Yeah.
Got to feel, just focus. So
that's
it was
smart.
good.
That's really smart. And hopefully they didn't charge an arm and a leg, because it's communal, right? The community library, right?
Oh, no, it's free.
Oh, free. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Even better. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great tip right there. Highly recommend looking into it. Anyone that's wondering where, anyone who's wondering where will I take my test. So Delita, they often say hindsight is 2020, and I know you need to get on with your Saturday, but I'll just ask about the exam. So what would you do differently? Because when you got into the exam all the way to the end, there might have been points where you said, oh, I should have done this. Were there any of those moments, or did it just work seamlessly?
I honestly felt like it worked seamlessly. Now, I did mark questions for review, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time on them. But there may have been 1 or 2 questions that I was held up on, but it was only because I felt like it could have been either or, not because I didn't necessarily know the answer. I just needed to make sure that I addressed exactly what they were saying, because sometimes there are better answers than others, and it may not have been a select all question. So I really had to really think about that. And there was a video I actually looked at the night before, where you walk through how to go through the question, how to answer it, how to strike through, narrow down, things that, or eliminate things that don't really help you address what they're actually asking.
Right.
Kylie, no, I didn't have 6-line questions. Really, I don't know if you took the exam in December, but that thing, it took me a long time to even read the questions. In December, I probably finished that test down to seconds.
Wow.
But this one in May, I probably had 15 minutes left at the end, and I had a few questions to review, so I really took my time to review them. But I didn't want to spend too much time and try to second guess myself, because that's what I was doing on the practice quizzes. I was second guess myself, and then I'm like, I get it wrong when I realized the answer was the one I was going to pick. So
you're right.
And then I just wanted to address what Kylie was saying about the 6-line questions. So I may have had 3 to 4 lines, but the key is trying to pull out key information in the question. Like what are they? I think you said to read the last part, for the last sentence first.
Right.
Like what are they asking you to do? And then, because there's a lot of fluff in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you just got to try to pull out the important parts and really honing in on what they're actually asking.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's helpful. So Delita, let's go to question 1. Camera, lights, action. They've signed you in and you see your very first question. What was the feeling? Are you like, wow, this is easy? Or
I was like, well, at first I was like, here we go. But then it was just, I think the first question was agile. And I was just like, yay. Like, I felt like it was going to be good. I will say the first half of the questions was a breeze. The second half, they got a little bit more, well, I felt like the whole entire test was very situational. You know, what should you do next? What should you do first? And that was key, because what should you do first and next could be 2 different responses.
That's true. Yeah.
So when I first saw the first question, I was like, you got this. But they did eventually get a little harder in the second half. You just had to think a little bit more. Like, and you have to, when they say select all, or, you know, even I had drag and drops.
Yeah.
Those were interesting.
Do you have hotspots, like click the area on the chart where?
Yes, I did. I had one.
Ugh.
And I'm gonna tell you, it's something I never had heard of before.
Wow.
Now, I know it was addressed, but it's just something I just didn't remember studying. But I think it was something that you could figure out, even if you didn't study.
Yeah. Or even if it was a pre-test question. Maybe it could have been a pre-test. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So did you take a break after the first 60, or did you just keep going?
No, I took a break because I did have a sense of anxiety. Because when you get ready to take the break, it says something about make sure you're back in time and click your break is over, or, you know, they're going to either move. I don't know if they say move on with the test without being scored or something, but it made me nervous. So I even asked the proctor, can I leave the room? Because I need to go to the restroom, drunk some water. I had a couple snacks. I had, you know, just walked around, looked at myself in the mirror, gave myself a pep talk. Got this. And I'm just like, I kept going. The lady at the reference desk, because she was there the whole time, like, she was like looking at me. I'm like, I'm good. So I would go back in. And even when I got back in there, I just, you know, took a second to get myself together. And then I would just start. I didn't use my entire 10-minute breaks. Because I didn't want to be to the last wire hitting break. That made me nervous a little bit. But I took advantage of my breaks. I think you should, actually.
So you took the second break too. First and second, right?
Yeah, it didn't dock off my time. So because the first time I took my exam in December, I would read my questions out loud and talk to myself. And the proctor was like, you can't do that. I was twiddling my thumbs. I got in trouble for that. So I was just like, just use your break time to talk to yourself and then come back in and just go for it. But my proctor was really nice.
Wow.
But there was a time where she couldn't hear me and I was freaking out because the microphone on my laptop, her service was bad, I think. And I'm like, oh my God, don't do this to me.
So it was Wi-Fi. Did you have an Ethernet connection, like a cable going in, or?
No, I used the library's free Wi-Fi, but I think her service was not good.
Okay.
Her connection
that's
good.
enough to freak one out. Yeah. Because there have been a number of people whose exams have been discontinued, and they say, okay, we're going to get back to you, but for now, that's the end of your exam. And they just unceremoniously dismiss it. So I'm really glad you tested all of the odds and ends and made sure that they worked. That was the right thing to do. So you finally got to go on.
Oh, I didn't need any extra hiccups.
Good. So Delita, you're now in and you got 15 minutes to go and you decide that's it. I'm not changing anything else. So what happened next?
You know, like after your first set of questions, they're like, once you reviewed your questions and you hit done, you can't go back. And I'm like, all right, sure. But I didn't want to second guess myself.
Mm,
So, and even some of them, I was like, don't even hit review. Just answer it. Because then you're gonna be wasting time going. Either you know it or you don't at this point. And I will say a lot of the questions, I was able to eliminate a few of the options, just knowing some of the key things you said. I don't know if I can really share that, but can I say
if they're agnostic and they're not particular or specific to your exam, yeah, you could. Like there's some of the elimination things I went through in those videos.
Yeah.
Is it some of those? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. Like you never, for the most part, you never want to escalate something to the COR because that's your last option. And if they address that in there, then you know that's when you choose that. You know, when they've already exhausted the last option.
Yeah.
So that helped out a lot.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Anything else that comes to mind about, so when we talk about moving a situation forward, there's a bottleneck, someone is not in agreement, or someone wants a change, or a stakeholder is trying to impose something. The questions are hardly ever, oh, ignore them and tell them to get lost.
Yeah. I had a few of those and I was like, strike through. But you definitely want to do a formal request, of course, go through the change control board. That was normally one of the options. So, I mean, unless they said in the question, it's already gone through CCB, then I knew, I felt like, okay, well, that's what I need to do next. Because you can't just, or it will say doesn't or does or does not affect the scope or something like that. You know that scope, schedule, and changes like that have to go through the CCB. So so that helped. And then like with team questions, like disagreements with the team members, you know, you want to try to see if they can address them amongst each other and stuff like that. So that was helpful. You don't, I mean, I'm like, why would I go to tell the CO artist? I never, when I was working as a PM, I never talked to my COR except for when I signed the contract and when I was closing out. That was the only time.
Yeah, and you know, that's why the PMI, they kind of started reforming the language to say your experience as a project manager can actually help you on this exam. So don't just rely on what you read. Also, you have to leverage some of your experience in there as well.
I would agree because I mean, I don't know if I can say this, but I felt like this exam was common sense with answering some of the questions, because it's like, just put yourself in that position. Like, you know, you wouldn't do that. Like, it's just, I think the first exam, it was like really theory based. Like, I need to have read that to know it. But this exam, it's like, okay, if I was in that situation, what would I do?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that helped out a lot.
It changed it. So Delita decides to hit the end button. And then did you close your eyes and pray?
I did. I said, here we go. And I did like a little eye peek. And it said, congratulations. I was in the screen like this. And I was like, yes. And then tears started pouring down. But I'm like, I'm in the library. So let me keep it low. And I ran out of there so fast so I could just yell out in the open.
Wow. Well, praises, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a person of faith and I pray, and Lord, let her help her, Lord. Have mercy.
Lord. The Lord came through that day.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, dear. I am so happy, excited. It's like a chapter in my PMP exam training is done. Actually, Emily and I started training LMI way back 2016 or 2017. So it's like coming full circle, and I'm really, really elated at your success. Really, really happy, and all the best with the LLC. Whatever you're working on is gonna pop. So keep going.
And you know, I was thinking after I was done, I was just gonna trash all my stuff. But I have a little drawer I kept it in, and I even now want to do my Scrum certification.
There you go.
And I'm just thinking about all these other certifications that,
there you go,
you know, I want to obtain now because
There
I
you
feel
go.
such a
So
success.
yeah, so because you're my friend, Delita, I'm gonna give you my honest, candid advice that
Please do.
can push you in this world of agile if you really want to go into it. So here's my advice. My advice is that you should think about two exams. All right, think about certified, oh, hang on, certified Scrum Master. And
Mm-hmm.
I know you've heard about this and you might be considering it.
Yes.
Think about certified Scrum Master, CSM. Let me just say CSM. And then if you are, I'm a risk taker, right?
Mm-hmm.
The PSM is harder than the CSM, but I would say if you really want a challenge, go on Ken Schwaber's website, which is called scrum.org. Take all of his preliminary exams for Scrum, product owner, leader. And honestly, if you, I think it's $150. So it's low risk, but my goodness, if you can crack that test, yes, you know that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you've achieved something great. So take the PSM on one of, you know, I woke up one day without studying and said, you know what? I feel like a challenge. I'm going to go for this. Roy's been challenging me for too long about taking this exam. So I went ahead and took it. So think about the PSM. It's very, very difficult compared to CSM. The CSM, if you just sit down there in the course for 2 days, you're going to get the exam down. The exam is very, very easy. There's nothing hard on the CSM if you were in the course, but the PSM, oh my goodness, it's hard, and it's like 80 questions in an hour, so it really pushes you. It's
Mm.
called Professional Scrum Master. Yeah.
So do you guys, Praizion, do they offer training for these, or do you
Yes.
recommend a person? Oh.
Yeah, so for CSM, we offer training only to companies, not to individuals. But here's a cool thing, Delita. Those who have been through training, like Roy's training, Agile whether it's with Roy or me, people who go into the CSM say, oh, it was so easy. I mean, it's even easier than what you guys taught.
Mm-hmm.
But then for the PSM, again, a lot of folks who have attended our course without going to anything else, just reading their notes and taking all of Ken's exams and making sure they read the Scrum guide over and over and over again till they know the 3-5-3 in their sleep, and they know all the tiny little bullets in the Scrum guide. They just go ahead and take PSM. So, I mean, some of our group members on Facebook have taken it. So if you want a challenge, which I know you like challenges, and
Yeah.
so go ahead and just maybe just prepare and then see.
Tiffany.
I think it's $150 or 200 at worst. So
Okay.
it's fun, and it's a nice addition because in the community, when you take a look at agile certifications, the big ones that people are like, okay, the CSM, because it's been around for that long, but it's not that hard. It just means you were in a 2-day class. But the PSM, it has a lot more respect amongst the agile aficionados, the agile junkies, the agile nerds. They'll look at a PSM more than they would look at an ACP. I'm just being honest. The ACP
Okay.
is good and all, but when people look at the PSM, they're like, you really understood Scrum, because 80 questions in 60 minutes and they're hard. They're not cakewalks. So food for thought.
I'm up for the challenge.
Cool.
But I got a question. Do you suggest joining like PMI chapters? Like I've been getting emails, different things. Like I guess I should go listen to your YouTube video, what to do after PMP success.
Yeah, I mean,
now I'm trying to figure out.
There are many options. Being in a chapter is great, but I think for more individual accountability, I recommend the Project Leadership Institute, because I'm teaching you leadership and how to apply leadership to your goals and your vision and your mission. So if you're someone who, you know what your mission is in life, or you got an idea, or you don't know, that will be the next step, because all of PMP is just one little drop in the bucket towards your vision for life. Someone says, Phil, my vision is to be a great provider for my family. Okay, well, let's find out how you can be a great leader to sustain that and even exceed that. So I teach a lot from John Maxwell's curriculum. You know, they call him America's leadership guru.
Yep.
And he was our keynote speaker in the Leadership Institute. So while joining a chapter is good, the individual accountability and then mentoring, if you got a job offer coming up, I would mentor and coach to that excellence. And then weekly, we meet every Thursday. And we just try to keep ourselves focused on the overarching vision. Everyone has a mission statement as well.
Oh,
They ain't playing games.
how do I get more information on
Just
that?
go to projectleadershipinstitute.com. Project
Okay.
Leadership Institute. You know, a lot of people think, oh, it's all about management. No, it's about leadership. And my mentor, John, he says, everything rises and falls on leadership. It's about
Okay.
leadership. And if you know how to lead, not only yourself and others, whoo, you're set for life. And it's a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly journey. And it's an exciting one. And I've been with John for the past, going to 10 years now. In fact, 10-year anniversary of being on the John Maxwell team is coming up. So all of this PMP stuff is great, but if you're not a great leader, then you're just going to be a PMP.
Yep.
And you're not going to be able to get to that next, like the LLC, get to that next level. What does that look like? And then if you're a project manager and you're hitting a brick wall with your projects, let's get you unstuck. You get what I'm saying? So how do we get people unstuck? It's by mentoring, coaching, and every few weeks, each person is on rotation and a one-on-one with me.
Oh,
Where they've been
cool.
mentored and trained and coached for at least 15 minutes. And that becomes a cycle. And you know, what have I done with my mission statement or my vision? Because you're going to meet with your buddy Phil. And guess what? You're going to be held accountable for us to find out, you know, and we've had so much success. And then we also have individuals who just do coaching anyway. They just do their individual coaching towards their big, audacious goals to get to the other side. And I coach them and help them with that. So yeah, that would be my next recommendation, because it's good to be in a chapter with PMI, but that's not going to hold you accountable to your overarching chief aim. You know, Napoleon Hill says it's your definite chief aim, and everyone needs to have a definite chief aim. Otherwise, do you know why you're here on this earth? Well, you know, what are you doing? Well, work towards it. Like for me, I know why I'm here, and I know PMP is definitely one of them. You know, it's definitely one of them, but there are many other reasons. You know, I also have a career in music, and that is one of the things I pursue vehemently and try to get myself on the map. So as I'm helping people with their goals, I have mentors helping me with my goals on the John Maxwell team. And that's it. It's not about the certifications alone. It's great. It's a starting point, you know, but there's more. So join us,
I put the
Delita.
link in
Think
the
about it.
chat.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah.
The last
Project
thing
Leadership
is,
Institute.
I saw someone put a message that I think it was Sandra, about the study group. I don't know how long that study group is going to last now at this point. So I don't know if you want to address that, Phil.
Right. So Tamika, I think Tamika took that as an action, or May. Okay. Do you want to unmute May or Tamika and tell us you got Chandra down for help? I know it's not going to last long, but while it still lasts, I think Chandra, you're close to taking the exam, right?
Yeah, Chandra, hi. This is May.
Hi.
So yes, we can. There's no worries. I talked to Tamika, and we can welcome you in. This study group originally we were planning just to have it until June, but I think we still have 3 or 4 people from the first group that joined that that are on the way to complete it. So this is why we're extending it until August. And as of August, I think we'll try to create a site where we'll put all the material that was exchanged in the chats over there, so that you can always benefit from it. And then from there on, you can create your own group, study group.
Lovely idea.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, May has just given us a challenge. Each PMP, you saw it coming. You knew I was going to say it. Each of you PMPs, maybe you need to have a study group, like maybe once a year. I don't know the duration, but I'm telling you, when you are a river and you're giving out, you know, you should go watch my video on how to be a real success. And success is know, grow, sow. Knowing your purpose in life, grow into your maximum potential. What's the last one? Sowing seeds that benefit others. So this PMP is a beast. You know, Delita, firsthand. Think about how much torment other people are going through. There's a traffic engineer who said, Phil, it's beyond my tolerance for ambiguity. I quit. And he never took the exam. That was back about 10 years ago. Never took it's sad. So you can be a light wherever you are. You know, people are struggling to get this exam down. Some people have been so emotionally distraught about the PMP exam. And that's why I decided, I said I would help anyone in the world. And people look at videos I pump out and say, why are you putting all this free stuff out? I know people are struggling. I want to help. So I encourage each of you in your workplace, wherever you are, help someone. If you can't help them, just send them my way and I'll take care of them. Like Tamika sent her friend on down even before she got certified. And guess what? We're going to help her. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, this has been a very productive session. Any other questions for our guru? Look at how patient she's been in her vehicle. That's dedication, I'm telling you right there. Goodness. Well, Delita, I'm so grateful. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone else. Hey, May, Carolyn, Tamika, you thought you've escaped. No, you've not. I'm coming for you. Just wait.
Oh, wait, Phil. Can I see Pimpy? I need to lay eyes on him because he was. Where is he at?
Oh, here he is. I think he has some choice words.
Yeah, Pimpy, how you feel now?
You are lucky. Luck. But I'll see you in PSM. And I'll see you in CSM too. Congrats, Delita.
Very unpleasant character. Just ignore him. He's a toothless bulldog. Go to your corner, Pimpy.
Yeah, stay in your corner.
People don't know the history. Pimpy hasn't really showed his face quite a bit because people have been pummeling him. So
yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you putting this together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Delita. We're going to put this in the group and everyone will be able to watch it, and hopefully we'll get more and more news. But all of our other friends here, yes, those who are certified, we're going to have our lessons learned with you as well. And those of you who are yet to do it, hey, I see you there, Fabian. Chandra, I see you there. Francis, I can see you. Kylie, hey, we're coming for you. All right, we'll talk to you folks soon. You take care.
Thanks. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye.
Bye all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Delita.